So what are we talking about today? It is on customizing EFT for your client's personal trauma. I have some things I really want to share with you about this, and this is for you as a practitioner, if you already are a practitioner, if you're a practitioner in training, whether that's with us or with somebody else, or whether you're already or you're just someone who's looking to get into this industry and looking to get into this career. This is all for you, this information. We're going to be looking at how to help our clients with trauma, how to help them overcome it. Again, if you're a practitioner in training, if you're looking to do some refresher training, we have a training coming out where we're basically giving people access to our online complete library, our complete training course. So if you've gone and done a course somewhere else and just, know that there's some holes or some gaps in your training or some stuff that you did on your 2 or 3 day training you didn't quite get, we're giving people access to our library of a couple of hundreds of videos and trainings and content that you can take yourself through. So let me go through and let me get some focus on what we're going to talk about: customizing your EFT your EFT sessions for your clients, depending on what they've got going on. So a couple of little things to just start with. We talk very much in our school about keeping your ego out of the door. And I want to explain what that kind of means. So for us, when your ego's in the room, when you take your ego into the session, that's when you're thinking about you. You have a thought in your head that's about you. You have some thing that comes in. Am I doing it right? Am I getting it right? Am I following the protocol? What's on my shopping list? God, I just heard the dog bark. Oh, my phone's just beeped. All those things we refer to as the ego in the room. It's not that it is your ego, but what it is thoughts that come into your head about yourself, about your life, what you've got going on. What that does is that disengages you from your client, because your primary thing you want to be doing in every single session is holding space for your client. Now, what does that mean? Holding space for your client is about being completely present, being completely there with them, listening to what they have to say. Now, for me, this is one of the most humbling careers I could ever have chosen, and primarily because people tell me things they don't tell another human. They share with me private, intimate details of what's gone on in their life, what's happening in their life, what's going through their head, that they don't share with anybody else. Now, we're talking trauma in these classes, so sometimes it's very heavy, deep trauma. It's stuff that's happened to them that should never be happening to anybody, but it has. So one of our jobs is to hold space for that, because that person may have never ever had another person on the planet listen to them. They may never have had somebody believe them in the way you believe them, and actually hold that space for them to be able to say what they want to say, feel safe being able to say it, and completely non-judgmental. That's one of our jobs in that space. The other is to calibrate our client. Now, the calibrating our client is to judge and get a reading and a filter on where they are. You want to meet them where they are. Part of the ego out of the room stuff is not having an agenda for the call, or for the session, not having an outcome that you want for them. Sure, in our heads, we know the journey we want to take our clients on, and we know what we want for them, but ultimately it's still their journey, and we need to take them along it slowly, so it's about them. So you want to be able to calibrate your client. And look, that's just a skill set that you learn. You keep an eye on their face, you watch their facial expressions, you watch their skin tone change, you watch all sorts of, you hear what's in their voice and what comes up in their voice. So it's a skill set that can be learned. So they're the primary things you want to do. Get that ego out of the space, hold the space for your client, and calibrate where they are. And again, if you're feeling that your skill set's not there, I'm going to bring you more details in coming weeks about how you can, as I said, jump into our content library, complete level 1, complete level 2, plus the whole range of all our masterclasses we've been running, Ask Maggie calls with the founding masters, all our live calls, all our coaching calls, all of that library of content. We've been recording everything since 2018. So a massive, massive library. We're working out the final sort of details on how to be able to invite people who've already trained somewhere else who need that refresher stuff. So stay tuned. So what else we're going to be able to do with our clients? So when our clients come to us with trauma, I used to have a belief about it was what the trauma was, but it's not. It really is about the story your client's telling yourself about what happened to them. What's the story they've got running in their head about the event that happened? Some people have some really horrific things happen to them, and they seem to be able to move beyond them, past someone who maybe has something that society determines as smaller or lesser, and they are having more challenges getting through it, okay? So you've got to work out where your client's at and go slowly with them. You've got to build some trust in with them, right? You've got to build some trust. Now, why the EFT protocol is pretty much the same thing. What are you feeling? What's the emotion? What's the words? Where is it showing up in your body? And what's the intensity? All of those core things are pretty much the same regardless of what somebody comes to you with. But when it comes to some significant trauma that's really impacting people, we want to take it slowly. We want to be aware of the implications after you've done this work with them, after you had that session. Is the potential for them to spiral? Is the potential for them to you've opened Pandora's box a little bit, and is that going to become too overwhelming for them? So you need to have a process and a bit of a protocol in place so that your clients can come back and tag in with you, let you know where they are. Do you check in with them the next day? I want a bit of a process there. So then when we come to a space where we start to talk about what are the actual techniques, what are we actually going to do with our clients to help them that allows you to customize the session. So for many of you who are familiar with tapping, there are multiple techniques we can use. The beauty of the tapping with trauma is we can clear events and memories and triggers for people without even knowing the details. I don't ask my clients to have to give me all of the details. If I don't have it, I'm okay, because there's techniques we can use. We have some techniques, like there's something that's very similar to, imagine sneaking up on, you don't need to get hung up on the names of, imagine sneaking up on a problem. So if I've got something that's happened to me last week and it's very, very, very upsetting, and the chance of me crying and getting triggered is really high, I'm going to start, as a practitioner, if I have someone like that, I'm going to start even higher than that. I want to start with, imagine if you were even thinking about talking about that thing. Not we're going to talk about it. Imagine thinking about you talking on it. And we're going to do tapping on them at that level. We're going to take the intensity out of it at that level, of the mere thought of thinking about going there. We do some tapping on that space, calm the energy circuitry for them, calm their body, get them a sense of being grounded in their body before we then continue on to the even considering talking about the event. Then when it comes to the event, we have some techniques for that as well. We have something called tell the story. Now, tell the story is just like you would imagine the person verbalizes what went on. I did this, and then this happened, and they did that, and then this happened. And it's an actual open conversation. We're doing the tapping while they're doing the work, but they're able to share the details. A number of clients I work with don't. I have one client that will tend to text me the details. Then we can do some silent tapping on that, both knowing that what she's texted me. So this leads then into the movie technique. Then the movie technique is as it sounds, but what your clients are doing is playing a movie in their own head. They're not having to tell you the movie. You just pick maybe a 2 to 3 minute example of what the worst part of that event was, what the biggest shock point was. You pick that little bit, and we do tapping on that, and we just play the movie front to back, and the client plays it in their own head. They can jump in and give you some details as they go along. You just need to, as I said, calibrate with them, hold the space, lead them along the journey, play the movie, do the tapping. Where are the shock points? Where are the intensity points? And we do that. So it's beautiful as a technique because people don't have to tell us stuff. They don't have to divulge stuff. Partly for me is I don't have to hear the details as well. Not that I don't want to hear the details with my client, but I know some of them have some fairly substantially traumatically intensive things that have happened to them. I'm not going to go into detail, but we don't know the people that stuff. I want to be able to help them release it and release the trigger and move beyond it, move through it without anything that resembles a re-traumatizing. Every time we talk about something that's happened and every time we go over it verbally, particularly, even in our mind, we are bringing our body a sense of re-traumatization. We are bringing that intensity back in. We are bringing the sensations and the feelings and what it felt like at the time back into our body as a reaction. Because remember, the body can't actually differentiate between real and imagined. You see something on the TV that's frightening, you get a shock, your body physically reacts to that thing on the TV. It just does, which tells us that the body is not able to differentiate so easily between them. So I don't necessarily need to hear all the details from my clients. So I love that we've got these extra techniques and tools that our clients can share information with us, get the healing, the release, and the shifts that they need without having to divulge or disclose and be re-traumatized. Now, I heard a saying, and it really, really was fabulous. Might have been a Gabor Mate, and it was that the event happens once and we replay it and re-traumatize ourselves repeatedly after it. Every time we talk about the story, every time we remember a memory from it, we do the re-traumatizing. So the event happens once and we do the re-traumatizing. So that is a couple of things that you're going to be able to do with your clients. This is how you're going to be able to customize a session. Now, it's not something that you'll write out. It's not something that you'll plan. You'll just know with your skills, because you'll become very, very skilled at this, of the tools and the techniques you have available and the ability you have to help your clients through this with super simple stuff. Ego out of the door, hold that space and calibrate them. Make sure you're highly skilled in what you're doing. Take it slow with them. Allow the core work to happen. What's the emotion, the sensation, the feeling? Where is it in your body? What's the intensity? And then use the techniques that we teach you. Can you sneak up on the issue? Can you play a movie in their head? Can you get them to tell you the story? Super, super, super simple. The last thing we're going to pop in here is, if you're not familiar with tapping, we're going to pop a link into our most favorite download that people collect from us, and it is called the Self-Love Project. It is turn down the inner critic, turn up the inner Q squad. 4 very simple videos, very simple meditation, a little bit of a workbook for each. Let's get you vibrating and just focusing on the best you can. Pop in and grab that free course from us. Always happy to share whatever I can with you. Feel free to pop any messages into the chat and we will more than happily answer any questions that you have. Great to be here.